Hi, McCartney fans, and welcome to another edition of Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. We are a Paul McCartney talk show mainly dealing with Paul's solo career. I'm one of your two co-hosts, Tom Hunyadi, and as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, my backwards traveler, the one and only Andy Nichols. Andy, what's going on, my friend?
What's up, Tom? How are we doing tonight?
We're doing all right. We are starting to heat up over here, and got the air conditioner full blast. And
Already?
yeah, already. It's usually by mid-April we start thinking about turning the air conditioner on. So it's
Damn. No, we're not there yet, but soon
yeah,
enough here in
yeah.
Jersey.
Gotcha. So everything's all right over there?
Yep, just locking it in and just soldiering on and keep on keeping on.
Cool. Awesome. We got an excellent archive, McCartney archive set over there on your other side of your shoulder there, and
Yeah,
we're going to be talking about that.
hard to find these days.
Yes, the out of print McCartney archive set, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Capitol hasn't reissued these sets yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do soon.
Because they've reissued the vinyl, right?
Exactly. And, I think those sets are still in demand. I think people would still want them. I know a bunch of people would probably piss and moan once they do release them, saying, why are they re-releasing them? Well, they're out of stock. Let's get them back in stock.
Right. I mean, short of them releasing them in any kind of format or added bonus content.
Right.
It's just a repressing. That's all. It's under a different label.
Exactly.
They were they were like $50 or $60, I think, when they came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the early ones. I mean, the Ram and the Wings Over America set were
they were a little more
pricey at the time, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Capitol reissues all of those archive sets. Be nice, but we got a little housekeeping here to do before we get into tonight's topic, which will be the McCartney album. We just celebrated its 50th anniversary, so we're definitely going to, I don't think we would be doing our jobs if we didn't talk about the McCartney album here. But anyways, so first off, I want to congratulate Bill Light. He was the winner of the Ted Montgomery book, the Paul McCartney catalog. So congratulations, Bill. As they say, the check is in the mail, and I don't know if you got it yet, but hopefully you did, and hopefully you're enjoying the book. So for that part, congratulations. A couple news item out there. Looks like today they just finally announced, which we were, pretty much expecting anyways, that the cancellation of the European tour, and it's canceled. It's not postponed, which I think is, kind of interesting, meaning that he probably won't know exactly when he's going to get back on the road again. So
it's funny. Some artists have already committed to dates in 2021.
Right. Correct. I think Ringo, as a matter of fact, rescheduled all his dates for 2021 right around the same time as they were supposed to take place this year.
Interesting, but Paul chose not to. Interesting.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Maybe he's waiting for some kind of, cure, or I'm not cure, but you know what I mean, vaccine or whatnot. Yeah. Also, I want to give a shout out to our past guest and soon to be repeat guest, and he's Adrian Allen, and his volume 2 of his very good Paul McCartney After the Beatles series is now out. I picked up a physical copy. I think I got it in the mail. What is today? I think I got it Monday, actually. It came in the mail. So, and it's a lot thicker than volume 1. It's, if you enjoyed volume 1, if you're, musicians' point of view, you'll definitely, understand this a lot more than, myself.
Yeah.
And probably Andy. But,
for sure. But it's, he does a great job of breaking the songs down.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll have him back on later this month. So it'll be cool to talk to him about volume 2. Also, we just found out a couple days ago that Omega Auctions is going to have a song called "Angel in Disguise," which, if you have the Eight Arms to Hold You book, you would know about this song. This was Paul McCartney's song that he gave to Ringo during the Time Take Time sessions, and apparently just didn't make the cut for some reason. And it would be great to hear Paul's version. Our friend Adrian Allen, who, the sheet music, when you go and you see the information online, the sheet music is there, and so Adrian Allen actually played the music, so I kind of had an idea of what the song sounds like, and I'll have to send it to you, Andy, so you can kind of get it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Cool.
Yeah. So, and I think he's also having some musician friends do a version of it as well. So it'd be interesting to hear that. But man, it's kind of rare that a Paul McCartney song doesn't make the cut.
Right? Well, listen, that's a strong album as it is, but I mean, come on,
right.
Paul's going to give you a song and it gets elbowed? Come on.
Right.
Come on. Really?
Exactly. Yeah, right.
Peace and love, Rich.
Right. So I wonder what that conversation was like, Yeah. Sorry, buddy, but this is my comeback album, and that song just isn't strong enough.
Can't help you. I'll save you for vertical. I'll save you for vertical, man.
Right. Yeah. So, but anyways, hold on. So that's the news as of right now. However, getting back to our main topic, which is McCartney.
We're hitting on all these. The past decade was like the 50th stuff for all the Beatles. Now we're entering 50th anniversary. It's for solo stuff.
Exactly. And we started touching a little bit on that on my other show, Talk More Talk. We did a 50th anniversary of Sentimental Journey. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll probably touch on the McCartney album. We were hoping to do that during Record Store Day that was supposed to happen in April, because he was going to reissue the McCartney album for Record Store Day, actually, that will still happen, but I think they're being split up into 3 days now, August, September, November, or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of frustrating. But it is what it is. I do want that, and we want to make sure we get that Instant Karma one as well. I don't know if you're interested in that one as much.
Yeah, I'll grab those whenever they announce it again.
Right.
Locally for me, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And is the half speed remasters one album or two?
The McCartney, which one were you talking about? Yeah, it's 2 LPs.
Right, so the half speed remaster.
Right, the half speed, correct. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so a lot going on. Another that documentary that came out a few years back for Handmade Films, George Harrison's on film company.
That looks really great.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward. That's finally going to be coming out on DVD and Blu-ray, and then another Ringo Starr album, That'll Be the Day, is finally getting a an upgrade DVD Blu-ray.
Right, the 1973 film. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So looking forward to it. Is it 73 or 76? I don't remember the year. Maybe 73.
I think 73.
But, yeah. But anyways, yeah, so, just adding more stuff to the list that we gotta get, man.
Gotta get it.
It's just the year just keeps on getting more and more expensive. So
certainly does, and we're only in May.
Right. Yeah, so hopefully, these things come out on time. It's still up in the air. We still don't know anything about Flaming Pie yet, whether that's going to be coming out on time. I think that was going to be a July release.
That was going to be a July release. I mean, actually, I think the date was already even picked, wasn't it?
Right. So that leads me to believe that it will still come out on time, because it's already been. Right, it might have already been processed. It might have already been in the works.
It might have already been in the can already.
Yeah. So.
And again, if it's released, I mean, it could still get released. It's just going to be longer shipping now.
Correct.
So there's no reason why new product can't still come out. It's just going to be, we can't just get our fingers on it on the same day, probably, that we want.
Yeah, perhaps. And another thing too is a friend of the show, Tom Brennan, he was letting you know that uh, the great book series A is for Apple. They're only going to be for the time for the foreseeable future. Um, they're only going to be well, actually, no, this wasn't Tom. I think it was my cousin David who sent me this information that they're only going to be shipping to European countries right now during this pandemic.
Really?
So if you were hoping to get either volume 1, volume 2, or volume 3, if those books are still available, you'll only be able to get them in the European countries right now. So they won't be shipping to like Australia or Canada
Right.
or
Are
here.
there electronic versions for those books too? Or
I
no?
do not know. I had to go back. I had to check on the website. I think it's right now it's just physical
Yeah,
books.
that would be a great addition to be able to have that in lieu of not being able to get the books because
Right.
just get a Kindle or ebook version.
Mm-hmm.
If it's
Yeah,
possible.
just like the remastered Eight Arms to Hold You.
Right.
Oh.
Especially now. I mean, just get it online, pay for it, and get it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's talk about McCartney.
Album number one, if you count, if you don't
Album
count the,
number
you
one.
don't count the, if
Yes.
you're not counting the Family Way, which I don't. This is,
It's technically, I would can say this would be this is his
first
debut
album.
album.
His
I
first
mean,
album.
yeah, I mean, if he had more to do with the Family Way, instead of just giving George Martin like 10 bars of music or whatnot, then
Yeah.
I think maybe you can safely say, okay, yeah, that's his debut solo album. But
And I think it's This album is just another one in a long line, but it set the tone for the, you know, greatly misunderstood, not because people were expecting one thing and they got another thing, and they didn't.
correct, yeah, we'll talk about that as well, because I think once we talk about him in '69, you gotta think that this guy is arguably the hottest musician on the planet right now. In '69, he's gives Mary Hopkins the song "Goodbye," which is off of her debut album, or I think it's just a single. I don't recall.
Single.
Yeah, just a single. So that's March of '69. That's a UK number 2 in UK number 2, and then here it was number 13. So not bad here, but that song wasn't able to go to number 1. You know why that wasn't able to go to number 1?
Why?
Because the song "Get Back" was was number 1.
Right.
So in April of '69, "Get Back," which was Paul's song, that's number 1 here, and that's number 1 in the UK. You get Abbey Road, which comes out in September, and we all know side 2. I mean, just the work that he and George Martin put into side 2 is just magical. I mean, both sides of Abbey Road is just
Right. They're splitting hairs at
magical.
that point. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But the work that that was put in the side 2, I would think that a lot of people, that's what they were expecting for this record.
They wanted Paul's first album was going to be like Abbey Road, and I just think that
Right.
take the context of the Beatles away from it and just look at the man,
Right, exactly. So
look at
also,
the right.
right. So also during the Abbey Road sessions, he gives Badfinger their first huge hit, and that's
With the explicit instructions to record it as is.
As is, right.
Don't
And it
change
is a hit. Yeah, I mean, that's December '69. That's number 4 in the UK, and
That's
that's
featured in the film The Magic Christian.
yeah, exactly, and that's number 7 here in the States. And then March 1970, "Let It Be," again, number 1 here, and number 2 in the UK. So so that year from March of '69 to March '70, McCartney is on fire.
Right. He's writing songs for other artists that are knocking it out of the park. The Beatles,
Right.
although they're breaking up, are still putting out legendary, works of music.
Right.
When their swan song, and not to mention like "Let It Be" and the album that was, and so he's really just on fire. And then the Beatles break up, and he
Yeah.
goes and does his own thing, and people are like, "What is this album?"
Right, right. So leading up to that, so September 20th, John makes his big decision, which, this was decided on the trip back from Toronto during the Toronto Rock and Roll Festival, which, obviously Lennon was a part of. He announces the Klein. Klein says, no, just keep it quiet because he wants to work on these, the contract negotiations. Right. So the next day, I think it was September 20th, Paul is like, okay, let's talk about, let's get going for our next thing. And John's like, no, this is it. I'm done. I want a divorce. And again, he's told to keep quiet, just until so Klein can renegotiate these the contracts. I think it was he was working on the Capital one. I think the week prior he had finished the one for EMI.
EMI,
and,
that was
and then
at that point.
Right. So what do you do when this is the only thing you've ever known? This is what you love. I don't know how I would react. I mean, I don't know how anybody would react, but
I think it was all he ever knew since he was a teenager, and that ends now. And that's why I think the music on this album is what it is, because it's a man who's broken emotionally and fragile, and people will just look at him as Beatle Paul, and they can't realize that the man's spirit was broken there for a while.
Right. So that while those 2 months of October and November, and then into December as well.
Yeah, that's when he was.
He's at the Hyde Park Farm, and depressed, drinking a lot. He's newly married. He's got a newborn baby. He's got a new adopted daughter, 7-year-old. So Linda,
ready-made family, which he always wanted, but weighing on, he did not. He out of all 4 Beatles wanted them to continue more than anybody.
Correct.
The fact they were gone, it was a huge, huge burden for him. So,
right.
He left, took off, and he was like, leave me alone.
Yeah, so he disappears, depressed, drinking a lot. And it wasn't until, and I would say that this has to be in October that Life magazine goes and finds him. Because
when he told the world that the Beatles were broken up and nobody picked up on it.
Correct. Yeah. So the thing is it comes out November 7th of '69. I would imagine it had to have been late October when they show up, because it does take time for a magazine.
It might have even been earlier than that.
Correct. Yeah. You never. Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping in a way, because Alan Kozin, and the gang at Things We Said Today, they did a great, or Alan Kozin did a great job talking about, all of this, on the latest episode. On Things We Said Today. So I'm really looking forward to, that book that he's working on right now, the McCartney legacy. To see if there's more of a timeline, when all of these, events are happening. And so they catch up with him because there's all these rumors going around that he's dead, all the clues, Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper, White Album, 28 If on the Abbey Road album, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So finally, Linda gets through to him, like, listen, you got to do something, why don't you, start playing music again. And I think finally, it started, getting through to him that he's Paul McCartney.
Right.
He's arguably one of the greatest musicians of all time already at this point,
Yeah, but I mean, again, how do you come back from that? He saw the other Beatles were dealing with it. I mean, and he was so just bummed out about the whole thing.
Right. And plus he can't say anything, but still, yeah, he did in this interview for Life magazine where he talks about, the Beatle thing has exploded. It's right. Done,
It's done. Right.
They're going their way, I'm going my way. And
yeah.
But then again, it would just went over everybody's head, and that's the thing is, the article is at the end of the magazine. which is
It's
I
funny you
just
think,
find odd.
right.
You
It's at the end of the beat. But if it's think about like McCartney, this period, the making of the album, he's all depressed. But like by the time the album comes out, it's like those stages of grief, right? You're depressed, and then
right.
the album comes out, and then there's that tug of war about whose album comes out first.
First,
And then he loses, flies off the handle, throws Ringo out of the house. It's like by that point, the album comes, they're getting ready to come out. Now he's pissed off. Now he's had it,
right.
right? He's like
Mhm.
he's over being sad. Now he's just angry, right?
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. So they gave in to him. Okay, well, you put it out whenever you want to. So and here he is. He's still keeping quiet. I mean, he's told you got to keep quiet. You got to keep quiet. You can't you know tell anybody about this. But how long is he expected to wait? I mean, until John finally said something. You know, why does he have to wait? You
Right,
know, if if it's John's band, then John, say something. Let's go. you know,
right. Let's
you
go.
know
I want to move.
exactly.
I want to move on. Right,
Right. So then by the time, which we're kind of getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but
right.
by the
Fall
time this
back.
album
Right,
comes out, there's the Q&A, and John had expressed later on in 1970, how kind of bitter he was about it because, he didn't think of that idea,
right. It was
you
good.
know,
Well, then
break,
listen. He's always been the master PR guy, and
right.
he was never going to lose out in PR game to John on that one.
Right. So John's like, I should have thought about, doing that with Instant Karma, break up the Beatles to sell a record.
Right. Well, listen, you pissed him off, and that's what he said. I'm gonna
Right.
do it and
Right.
sell the record.
Yeah. So they're holding on, even George is thinking maybe they could, he says, they're probably selfish of them to not continue. So, Ringo, he's working on his first
Yep.
solo album. He's also, acting more. And so now it's Paul's turn. Okay, he's finally coming out of his depression. They move back to their home in St. John Wood.
John Wood.
He gets the 4-track Studer to start recording, and then after that, then while recording at home, and that goes until February, I believe, and then he goes into Morgan Studios and then finishes up at EMI. So he's really
Under the pseudonym of Billy Martin.
yes, absolutely, Billy Martin. I think now he's really starting to get focused again. But again, he puts out this album, and I think it's not what anybody expects.
No. Again, they want Abbey Road side too, and they're not.
Right.
This is a man who is starting his life over essentially.
Mm-hmm.
With a whole new family, kids, and has to forge a whole new identity now outside of the
right.
box where he was safely in for the last 15,
right.
20 years of his life. So, it's like when he started Wings, right? He could have gotten all famous people. And every approach, whether it's Wings or whether he was starting on his own career, he just wants to build it up, from the ground up. He probably, if he wanted to make a nice lavish album and could even
he could have.
He could have. He could have.
Absolutely. But he wanted to start, like you said, start from the ground up. He had talked about in this McCartney archive in the text that, how this ended up was his initial thoughts for the Get Back album. You just start from scratch.
Homegrown, exactly. That was kind of what he wanted to get back to. So,
right.
In a weird way, it's kind of like you've got to Get Back, Let It Be, and then kind of go back to that original vision of what concept that he wanted to do, and that's kind of
correct.
You take Abbey Road out of the equation, it kind of flows. It flows together.
Right. So, do you remember the first time you listened to the album?
Yeah, I was probably 10 or 11 years old at the time when I had it, and
okay.
just connected. It was my dad's copy, of course, was old.
Okay.
It was everything was so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember being like, okay, this is not like, I had known the hits, Uncle Albert,
right?
Die, so it was like, okay, this is definitely a little funky, acoustic, mellow type thing. But I wasn't put off by it as a younger fan. I wasn't like, oh, this is crap. I took to it, a liking to it, immediately.
Okay. Yeah, I remember listening to it in, I think it was probably 90, 91 area myself. I was still like really big into the Beatles. I wasn't really um, heavy into the solo stuff yet. But McCartney album was one of the very first McCartney albums I had, as well as, Band on the Run. Um, I think I had Tug of War as well at that time. And at first I just felt, and I still feel to this day, that it just, I understand the story and I understand how he wanted it, but it's, to me, it still just doesn't feel like a complete record. And I understand, that these songs were a lot of these songs were first done on a 4-track and then transferred over to an 8-track, and then reworked on there. But I just feel like,
Right.
yeah, he could have taken these songs in as demos and then re-recorded them on better equipment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I don't know. There's like fragments and stuff on here with the tracks, and we're gonna go through track by track and stuff. But I know
Right.
what your thought that it's not a full, complete album. I can understand that. I think my liking of it is more like sentimental.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
you know.
Right. And I try to try to put myself in other people's shoes too at the time, because I know we'll have a lot of older listeners who experienced it at real time, and and if, please, after you hear this, please chime in with your thoughts, um, from when you first heard it, especially just after hearing, Abbey Road. I mean, Abbey Road's that juggernaut and of an album. And then what were your thoughts of the record, McCartney record? What,
Yeah, I think a lot of it too. Like I know it went to number one, but I'm sure that was
yeah.
like it didn't go to number one because people were clamoring to hear Valentine's Day. I
Right.
think obviously it was part of the PR machine, the announcement that he made,
Mm,
the Beatles breaking up, and just that the fact that it was marketed well, it was his first true solo album, and I think that's why. I mean, the Beatles hype machine, I'm sure helped that too. But I mean,
right.
it was more of a hype thing than actually, oh my god, like start to finish, this album is like a Band on the Run, because clearly it's not. But it's
Well,
still,
clear. Right.
but it's still kind of funky and cool in its own right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it goes number one here in the States. It goes to number two in the UK. But the UK, for some reason, as though I'm sure by that time, I know Paul was getting a lot of flack for this. I mean, he broke up the Beatles, which he never actually really said in that UK press release with that
No,
Q&A. He never really said, I'm leaving the band. He still gives hope. I mean, the whole Q&A is in here as well.
right.
I mean, you can
I
go
think
back
a
and
lot of
read it.
that anti-UK sentiment, and it's a
Right.
little bit in America, really, really begins with the 1971 High Court resolution to dissolve the Beatles. I think that's really where they started to paint him as public enemy number one, because he actually had
Mm.
to go to court to
Right.
dissolve the
Right.
championship. And I think really a lot of the negativity and unfairness in his work stems from that moment in time on, in my opinion.
Mm. Okay. Right. Yeah, we should probably later on we can do a part two and we can talk about the aftermath of the album, and then which led, obviously, like you said, I think it was in December of '70, he ended up suing the other three Beatles, to get out of the whole, Apple thing.
Yep.
So yeah, the whole partnership. So maybe one day we can get into that. I know the Doggett book, You Never Give Me Your Money. I mean, that goes into that in great detail. And if you
Yes.
don't have that book, I definitely recommend you checking that book out as well. You know. So, the tracks. Let's start talking about the songs. Um, the album starts off nicely. I mean, it's a little song, "The Lovely Linda." I mean, obviously, it's dedicated to, his wife. The one that helped him, get out of his funk. The one that's would be his muse all the way up until her death. And what was that, 98? I believe
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was.
April
Yeah.
'98. Yeah.
Yeah, 98. So, and here it is, starts off with the album. Again, it's, he's testing out this 4-track Studer, and just playing guitar and singing about Linda. I was reading, I think it was in the Eight Arms to Hold You book, where he was going to add to this,
Yeah, it was going to be a long
to add to the song.
right.
You know,
I think right from the get go, you hear the screen door on it.
right,
That kind of home quality tells you, right, tells the listener, right,
right.
this is going to be a homespun lo-fi affair,
Right, and the thing about that Q&A, which is really kind of emotional, I'm sure, to him, was it was described the album and 3 words: home,
home
family, love.
love.
And you definitely get that. I do believe you definitely get that with this album, and it starts off with that, like you just said, that home aspect. You hear the door, I think, the door closing,
Yeah.
at one point, but it's just the way it sounds that just bother. It just doesn't feel like, you
Like
know
it's the not opening the album proper with
right.
a rocker or a pot boiler, as George Martin would call it.
Exactly. Yes, the pop. Right, right, right. Which I would have been fine if the second song, that would be something. I mean, that was the second song that he worked on.
Which caught the attention of George Harrison. He liked it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that would have been, a little bit of a better opener maybe for the album, but
Yeah, that could have been a better opening for sure.
right. But it's very repetitive. It's Meet You in the Falling Rain. That would be something. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I think that's another song that maybe, if you had like a better, a more traditional verse,
Yeah.
maybe a middle 8 to it, maybe it works out to be a better song. But however, he's in great voice. His playing, I think, is excellent throughout this whole album.
Oh yeah.
All his instrumentations, because he does all the instrumentations, besides some, Linda backing vocals, but that would be something. What are your thoughts on that?
I liked it. Again, I liked the rendition that he did with it later on
Right.
when he did it unplugged.
True.
That I like that much better than the one on the album. A
Okay.
nice arrangement with Hamish Stewart and the unplugged version.
That's right.
That's a really nice version. It's very
Yeah.
different speed, and I like that one a little bit more than this one on here. But I like it.
Mm,
I dig it quite a bit. As a song. Uh,
yeah.
you know, Valentine Day, the next one, instrumental.
Yeah.
So
That's
so.
the first instrumental on the album. It doesn't really go anywhere for me personally until the end, where he does do a little bit more of like a bluesy electric guitar bit at the end. I do like the drumming throughout the song. I think that's okay. But yeah, I mean, he did a couple just improvisations of some songs,
Yeah, yeah.
during that point, during that period.
Nothing crazy. Now the next song.
Yes,
That's
this
a game.
is where.
That's a game changer.
Right. Yes. I mean, this is the first gem on the album, and we're talking about Every Night. This song, was actually, started. I think that, as my understanding is correctly, written in '68 and then started during the Get Back sessions. I know they
Yep.
recorded a few versions of it, and I know they worked on it in January 21st and January 24th, and we'll play a little bit of it now. so yeah, I mean, it's, you know, even though it doesn't feel complete, still kind of hear that he has an idea where he's going with the song. He knows what he wants. He just hasn't finished it yet.
Yeah,
So
and maybe we'll see some nice footage in Mr. Jackson's soon-to-be film of that. Wouldn't that be something?
that would be something. Yeah. However, I mean, it would be interesting, going to that if they do have like a little segment dedicated to all the great solo songs that were started
Yeah,
during that month.
yeah.
You know,
That would be cool. Every night for me that's a great song. It's one of those songs that and we're going to talk about this as we go through the tracks. There's a few tracks in this album that he has chose to revisit at various points in his career.
right.
Well timed. That would be something. He played it in '91 for Unplugged. Every night he brings it back out again on these 1979 UK,
Sure. Yeah.
and he played it again for the Kampuchea show at the end of the year of '79.
Okay. Right.
In a lovely rendition with fully augmented with a live band in a different arrangement that's just different than the album,
Mm-hmm.
but enhances it. And I think he played it as late as the 2002 Driving Rain tour.
Oh, would have loved to have
I,
seen that.
I got to see that. It was the first time I ever saw him, and he played it.
Nice.
And that was pretty special.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
That would have been great.
yeah, that's again he played it. He played every night at the Unplugged show too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, so it's funny. He must have gone through a little period of like thinking about how the Unplugged show was working and how it kind of that harkening back to what the McCartney album was a very acoustic homespun affair, which kind of suited the Unplugged show. So
Right.
he includes every night. He includes that would be something. He
Right.
closed the show with Junk. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
so it's kind of cool to see him revisit this album, which was not does not considered one of his all-time best at various points in his career. Dropping little things off here and there.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the thing about this one too is it feels like it was professionally done. I mean, this song, it was recorded on an 8-track at EMI on February 22nd, so it was one of the last things they did for the album.
Right, it has more of
So
a slicker feel to it.
exactly. It sounds more produced, like he's actually working at it in a studio and not at his home.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next one is kind of interesting, in a way. That's Hot as Sun, and then slash Glasses, and then slash, a little surprise at the end,
Yeah. Yeah.
but here's another track, Hot as Sun, that was played during the Get Back sessions on, I believe it was January 24th.
Yeah. Went back to it was a Beatles song, sure. And I
Yeah.
think I'd have to double check, and maybe somebody can tell us if we're wrong. I want to say the Hot as Sun song actually goes back to the earliest days of the Beatles.
Yeah, he talks about that. It was written in 58, 59
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. It
So
goes way back.
yeah. So let's take a listen to this earlier version here from the Get Back sessions.
Welcome to the South Sea Island, where the sound of a wave landing on the sand brings joy to the eye, the ears of the natives.
So it's really cool because you can hear him kind of guiding, the band through it, and he's got, it's really funny. I like how it's portrayed. I like the ad lib that he has throughout the songs, and you hear him humming it to the band, and it's a unique take. However, I don't think it would have worked much as a Beatles song, so I'm kind of glad that it was scratched and he brought it back for this album.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
glasses tricks at the end.
Right, which is, the glasses filled with water. That was a little bit more of the avant-garde side of Paul. It doesn't get, it's not something that's a mainstream. You probably wouldn't hear it on other mainstream albums. That technique. But the glasses thing, I've heard it before. I've seen it done. It's really weird. I mean, I've tried it myself, but could never do it.
He did it in that Chaos and Creation at Abbey Road.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
He created
Yeah,
that.
now that you mention that. Right.
Yeah.
And then at the end of Glasses, we get a snippet of Suicide, which, as we all know, you attended for Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, and I remember as a kid hearing that, and I'm like, what am I hearing on a piano for a couple of seconds?
Right.
I never figure it out until later we learned, of course, that it was the end of another song that, Suicide.
Right.
Which,
Yeah. Right, and then again, Alan Kozin tells the story of that on the last episode of Things We Said Today, and that was pretty interesting, and I'm sure it'll be in the McCartney Legacy book as well.
Right.
Which again, couldn't be more excited about. And if it's anything like the that Lennonology book, and even Eight Arms to Hold You, it's gonna be exciting series.
Yeah, it certainly will.
But I've always wondered what a Frank Sinatra version would sound like. But with the fact that it's got Suicide in the title, I mean, I just can't see him singing that.
No.
I could probably see Dean Martin singing it before I would see Frank Sinatra sing.
Yeah, I can't see Frank doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Again, now here's what. Go ahead. What's that?
No, Junk.
Yes, Junk. Again, another well-known song throughout the, in the Beatles canon that didn't get that started with the Beatles, but didn't bloom with the Beatles. So it was, brought up.
I'm kind of glad it didn't go on a Beatles album.
Right. Yeah. So we got it from with the Easter demos, and then we got it with Anthology 3. And then again worked on during the Get Back sessions. I believe it was January 9th where they played it, and then again this was recorded at Paul's home and then overdubbed at Morgan. So, yeah. But Junk is one of my favorites on the album. Again, it sounds good. It doesn't necessarily feel like it was done at home. And I love how he sings it too. I mean, and the guitar playing on it is just masterful.
One of the strongest melodies that he's ever written, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So Junk was really good. Man, We Was Lonely. Again, that's for me. That's another favorite of mine. At first, I never really cared for that, but it was one of these songs that grew on me as the years moved along, and the more I listened to the song, I really enjoyed it. There's the verse that I really like on here. That's I used to ride on my fast city lying, singing songs that I thought were mine alone. Now let me lie with my love for the time I am home. I mean, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I like the guitar work in this song, the way it just opens up too. It's not just. It sounds almost like it could have been a couple guitars overdubbed, which I think it was. Just looking at Eight Arms here, yeah, steel guitar effects which produced.
Right.
So.
And then this is the first.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and this is the first time we hear Linda doing backing vocals for a McCartney song, and I think she's, in a way, it's almost a duet. But I think she's fine on this. It's definitely not disappointing in any way. I mean, her vocals are fine. Don't you think?
First of all, and he got her, up to snuff with those. He worked on her a lot, especially with Ram, of course, later.
Right.
Album,
Right.
Let's start with that. And
right.
Now we flip the record over to side 2.
Yeah. So, and it starts with a nice little rocker. it's it started off as just an instrumental while recording at home. Transferred it to the 8-track at Morgan, and then worked on lyrics. And it's just some of those throwaway lyrics that he just does so easily, kind of like "Really Love You" from Flaming
Yeah,
Pie.
just kind of
I mean, it's just here you
more
go.
it's more of a riff. It's just more of a riff and a jam.
Right. Yeah.
And
But not a bad song. I like the
no, it's
riff,
got a nice
and
little, it's got a nice groove, and towards the end, it really gets into a nice little
yeah,
jam there before it goes out, which I like.
yeah. I love the beginning, the more guitar,
Right.
and then just it's
And
it's a fun
we got a
song.
nice little rocking piano too towards the end there, which is nice.
Yeah, I like his more rough, raspy vocals, which he would then just like triple that with Monkberry Boone the Light.
Oh,
Know?
yeah. Talk about an exercise in vocal.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's a good little rocker that maybe if he worked on a little bit more, or had the band, the first incarnation of Wings, maybe it could have been, an even better rocker. Maybe if he would have, left this one on the back burner. You
Yeah.
know. So, but it still is kind of like almost a preview of what was to come. Because Wings, the early Wings, they were more of a gritty rock band.
Right. Having that little gritty sound, that early.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Mama Miss America.
Yeah.
I love this one.
Do you? Okay, cool.
I love Mama Miss America. Much better than Valentine's Day. I play this one probably the most out of the instrumental stuff. Because there's a couple on here, but Mama Miss America I love, and strangely enough too, was featured in the film Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is one of 2 songs that from the album that were featured in Jerry Maguire.
Mama Miss America makes it into Jerry Maguire. I mean, I remember seeing that movie as a teenager, and I'm like, I know this song.
Right.
That's very little songs in this sound, but I love everything about that song, especially the piano work in this song is off the charts good.
Yeah, I mean, I love the right off the bat, the rock and roll springtime, bit. I think that's a lot of fun, and it's two instrumental songs, stitched together.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love the drumming throughout. The guitar playing is nice throughout. When I first heard it in Jerry Maguire too, I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And
America, like what? You see him, it's like a McCartney song. Okay, maybe it's gonna be Jet or something. No, it's gonna be Mama.
Right.
Like people like us like.
Yeah, but the thing I don't remember if so I remember seeing the movie, I remember hearing that, and I don't think I ended up buying on home video, so I don't know if they were able to get the rights to it for the home video release.
Oh, okay.
So if someone out there, if you do have it on home video, check it out and let us know.
Yeah, please too.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Boy.
Oh yeah.
Another one that could have been a Beatles song, but I'm kind of well. John made sure it wasn't a Beatles song. We know that.
Right. Yeah. Again, another one that was started in '68, or written in '68, and then recorded during the Get Back sessions. This was of all the ones that he had during the recording session, or for the Get Back sessions. This is the one they worked on the most. On the 9th, the 24th, the 28th, and the 29th. So you get, they do, a lot of run-throughs on this one. So let's hear one of those now.
Teddy, don't worry, your mommy's here. Mommy's gonna see you through. See the story of the boy named Ted. If his mother said, Ted, you go, he would.
So this one's a lot completely different than the one that we get on Anthology 3. You know, obviously the Anthology 3 though is hilarious because, you know, John turns it into a square dance.
Yeah, square dance song. Right,
Yeah,
right,
you know,
right.
and do-si-do and get your partner. I mean, one of the funniest bits of the whole anthology, or one of the best bits actually for the anthology.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah. Remember
so
him talking about this in the Wingspan documentary too with his daughter, right? You know, he was
okay.
talking about this album, and you know, he goes, "Oh, I wanted to do it for the Beatles, but I said, right, it's not, I'll just do it for my own album, right? You know."
Right. Yeah, and I kind of like the story too. I mean, because it is actually, you know, a good story, kind of like in the same vein as maybe uh, um, the first single. When I'm drawing a blank here.
Another day.
What's that?
Another day.
Another Day. Yes, thank you. I don't know why I was drawing a blank there, but I like the story. I like the sentiment of it. You know, again, you know, he started it at home and finished it at Morgan. And again, this is another one that features Linda's vocals, and I think the song is definitely an A+ to me. I mean, it's another one of the gems on the album.
Yeah,
So
and I
it
like how
definitely
he end.
works.
I like how he ended it too with the little guitar strum out right in, and then
Mhm.
boom, takes us right into sing along junkie.
Single and Drunk, right? Which is, you know, instrumental. It's like the, you know, the sister or the brother of the song Junk or
I tell
whatever
you
you want
what, though,
to
I
call it.
like it as much, or maybe slightly better than junk.
Yeah, maybe a lot of great instrumentation throughout the whole
The
song.
piano work in sing along junk is
Right,
so good.
right, and you know, our friend Dylan was kind enough to do, you know, a version of this for our play out theme, which is nice as well. Again, this was. Featured in Jerry Maguire as well. So he definitely used the instrumentals, you know,
Sure, sure
for that
did, sure
film.
did. But
So, and again, I don't remember if this one was featured in the home release either.
probably not.
Yeah.
Well,
So
maybe
was that?
might have
Did you
been.
ever buy it? Did you ever buy it on?
No,
No.
no.
Okay. So yeah, it's nice. It's something that, you know, when it's playing, I'll definitely sing along to it. You know, like it suggests us to do,
Yeah,
but yeah, the instrumentation is great throughout the song, and yeah, it's a gem as well. But then now you got the you know,
the
the should have
centerpiece.
been,
Yeah,
yeah, the should have been single, the should have been, you know, that could have been a number one, you know, single, but you know, he refused to do so.
he
um
just waited 7 years to put it out as a live single.
right. Yeah, it was a hit, it was a top 10, but you know, you do a promotional video for the song, you know, so that way, because I know it was shown on Ed Sullivan show,
Right.
and you know, probably a couple other TV shows as the way to promote the album. um but you know, man, you imagine you're starting off your solo career with, and this is the song that people consider his best solo song of all time too, you know, so right out of the
You
gate.
know, so that's why the album probably is so puzzling for people because you've got like these odd instrumental rockers and stuff, and then you've got an all-time classic on an
Right.
album that's kind of uneven, you know. So, but it's
Right, exactly, and that's, you know, and I'll get to, you know, when we give our thoughts, you know, our thoughts about the, you know, more thoughts on the album. That's definitely a thing too. It just feels so uneven because you have these, you know, 3, 4 songs that are really strong, and then, you know, a lot of, you know, instrumentals that really don't, you know, lead to anything. Some, you know, improvisational songs that really don't do anything, you know. So but yeah, I mean, just right off the bat, the opening piano bit is, you know, and then just him
amazing.
belting out those lyrics, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, come on. You know, what can be said about this? I mean, should have been a single of the promotional film, which recently got a restoration, which was nice,
Correct. Yeah. Hmm.
which was good to see.
Yep.
I just, yeah, I mean, it was one of my earliest memories was like hearing that, like, oh, this is Paul by himself. It was
Right.
clearly like, okay, that's what that is. And you know, do we ever actually know why that it was not a single? I mean, maybe Alan.
He talks about, yeah, I think he talks about in the archive release that he just didn't feel comfortable releasing it as a single. And then maybe he was right. I mean, maybe he knew that Long and Winding Road was going to get released as a single. Maybe he didn't want to compete with himself.
Maybe.
Maybe it would have been, a little bit of a Paul overload there.
Yeah. It's a,
So
it's a song that obviously went through so many different incarnations of how it's performed as a piece of music. He doesn't perform it live the way that it is. He added a whole lot more onto it, you know, in a live setting than
okay,
than this proper studio version. You know, the guitar solos and the way that he closes the song now with the, you know, that
right,
those are all kind of things he tweaked on, you know, later on, and you can hear this, you know, Wings, it was on early Wings tours, and it's interesting to hear the song, you know, how he decided to expand on it from this initial inclusion on them. But it's even still as it is, this version's great. But again, this isn't the version that was the hit, you know, on all the compilation.
right,
It's the live.
right. The I think the most impressive thing about this song, it was all done in one session. You know, guitar, piano, drums, bass, all done in one session, just like he did with "Come and Get It" for Badfinger. It was just done, boom,
Right,
one
one
hour.
afternoon, right.
Yeah, exactly, and that solo, it's just amazing.
Oh,
I mean, his playing throughout the whole, every instrument he plays on the song is excellent in my
right.
opinion.
This is
You know,
again, he did everything. Every this is a
right,
true solo album, you know, every sense of the word here. I mean, with a little help from Linda, but you know,
right.
everything, you know, the drums, the bass, the playing, fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Now,
Uh,
I can't say the same thing about the last song.
well, see, I think we're gonna have different views on this
Oh,
one because this is
God.
this is one I enjoy. Karina Core, another instrumental. It's based on a documentary that he saw. Again, Alan Kozin tells another wonderful story about this during the last things we said today. These are Karina Core Indians from Brazil. So this was a TV special that he was inspired by. And again, I think this was done at EMI, I
Yeah, I
believe.
think it was EMI. Yeah,
Yeah, and this is a song where if I'm playing it while I'm driving, without knowing it, I'm doing 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then my hands on the wheel, and I'm going, and I'm just going along with it.
Yeah, no, it's got a groove to it for sure. You know, and listen, when I put an album on, I listen to it straight through. But what I do like the most about the song is the guitar work in it.
Hmm.
I like the guitar work in it, but the humming and the breathing and the panting and I'm like, I can't.
See, that's something that appeals to me as well, because you
That's
wouldn't.
cool. You like it. That's cool.
Yeah, I do. I mean, because then you understand it's he's probably portraying himself, as an Indian running through the jungle, maybe. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. No, yeah, but it's a strange one for an album closer. You know, you'd think logical wisdom says, let me close it with
Close it with "Maybe I'm Amazed," and that was another point I was going to bring up to you. I mean, I could definitely see it, and the same thing he does with "Flaming Pie." You would think that "Beautiful Night," in my opinion, should close the album, "Beautiful Night." But then he gives us, this little
city, you
beautiful,
know,
yeah, the little
right.
beautiful song, "Great Day." Um, but yeah, I totally think that "Maybe I'm Amazed" should have closed this record.
Yeah, you know, trying to think just quickly over his albums. Does he end on a big finish usually, or does he kind of, you know, sometimes he does,
Well,
sometimes he doesn't.
sometimes, yeah. I mean, he ends, Ram with
Big production finish,
big
right?
production, backseat of my car. He closes out.
1985, Been on the Run.
Yeah, and then or 1985 closes with Band
Yeah,
on the Run,
right.
with that little Band on the Run reprise afterwards. He gives us
No, but
the
then you get like,
medley for Red Rose Speedway. So
but then you get Morse Moose and the Grey Goose, which I love.
which is an excellent track either
It is.
way. But I don't know if it's an album closer. You know what I mean?
No, maybe not. Maybe not. But
Maybe
I mean,
not.
and then Baby's Request, Back to the Egg. So it's,
Right.
but I mean, to your point about having Beautiful Night with a Great Day, and there's a case where Baby's Request is a little nice, not a, it's just a nice little quiet song to end the album. This
Right.
one here, I mean, you either end it with the big, Maybe I'm Amazed, or, you end it with a song that sounds like a bunch of Indians running through the forest.
Right.
Go ahead.
Go
Whatever.
ahead. So I know a lot of people will consider this album a masterpiece, and that's fine. I don't know if I consider it a masterpiece. It's definitely legendary. It's legendary in a couple aspects where, this is the album that, it broke up the Beatles, if you want to say that. It's
Yeah, again,
legendary
when you
because
contextualize it amongst the Beatles backdrop stuff, yeah.
right. It's legendary because it's his first solo record. It's again, he's arguably one of the greatest musicians of all time at this period, and already at this period, he's only 28, 29, 28 when this record comes out,
Crazy.
and yeah, exactly, and and for that, I mean, because you hear, Maybe I'm Amazed, you hear Teddy Boy, and then you hear Junk, and
It's
you think, well,
there.
yeah, it's there. It's got the potential. But then when you hear the other stuff, like Valentine's Day and Ooh You to a small extent, and
Mama Miss America, they're just jams.
yeah,
They're just jams.
right. This is jams. The lovely Linda, and it's a really good album. I just don't necessarily know if I consider it a masterpiece.
Yeah, I don't think it could be a masterpiece when you look at the man's entire discography. I think it holds its significance with people because, to your point, the context of the Beatles backdrop breaking up,
All right.
What it meant. I think it's more of, and again, it's more of a sentimental, like people like it because of what it is.
Right.
But it's been, obviously, I mean, is it in your top 10? I don't think it's in mine.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but I mean, if it would be my top 10, it would probably be like 8, 9, or 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not consistently. It doesn't consistently flow. I don't think as other.
No, it's not. Doesn't flow well at all. It's kind of it's uneven. But I think that's part of the appeal of
the charm. Right. Exactly. Right. I mean, it's a homemade album. This is him, starting from scratch.
Oh, yeah.
I get that. And that's the thing, right? And I think everybody gets it, but that doesn't necessarily, mean that story makes this album,
but it also means that people need to really remember, like, now. I mean, 50 years later, of course, doesn't really matter. But you just wish that people could look at it through a different lens in 1970 than they did. I mean,
right.
John was like, "Well, I was surprised it was so poor." It was what he said.
Yeah, he trashed the album. He definitely trashed the album.
Hey, listen, let's let Two Virgins is a masterpiece. So let's just bust that out too. Come on.
Right.
I just think, it's easy to paint Paul as the villain, is how I feel. It's easy to make him the villain and just crap on anything he does, and not look at it from his perspective. That's
right.
all.
Right. Yeah. So I think time has been really kind to this album. I think as all of these, as I've said before, as all these archive editions are coming out, I mean, all of these albums are getting reevaluated very favorably, and I think that's going to continue with London Town and Back to the Egg. And people are just looking at his 70s output or his earlier output as great pieces of work.
I think people get so caught up in the Beatle aspect of it that they just go, "Oh, McCartney, he's got like 10 good solo songs." Like, and now the rest of the public are like actually looking at Ram and looking at Red Rose Speedway and going, "Holy shit, this is good music." Yeah,
right.
something we've all known along forever, but the masses are now singing, like the mainstream journalism and rock press
Right.
now is they're reappraising albums that original publications like Rolling Stone crapped on a lot of this.
Crapped on them, correct?
Now it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is so great. But you know what? I have no time for that.
I don't know if you ever did this, but is late 99, 2000, my uncle, who was influential in me becoming a Beatles fan, we did our, what if the Beatles never broke up, albums, 70s, 71, 72. And we definitely, when we were doing 70, we definitely had, Every Night in there. We had Junk in there. We had, Teddy Boy in there, just because they had the Beatles connection,
Oh, sure.
to them, so that was fun doing.
I never did that, but I will tell you, I attended a fantastic concert by the Fab Four around 2005 or 6, and they presented a show called Hot as Sun. And what they presented was what the next Beatle album would have been.
Oh.
They had not broken up.
Okay.
And it was probably one of the, and I've seen them probably 30 times. That was probably one of the best shows I've seen them do. And they just picked songs from all the first couple of Beatles solo albums, really all the ones from 1970 and the couple Ringo singles, and made their album. And they did obviously have Make 'Em Amazed in their set list, Teddy Boy, and I think Junk as well. And I think that would be something it was really a well done.
You gotta remember though, if the next Beatles album did happen, he wouldn't have gone in his depression. Right. So some songs we might not have we might not have gotten.
Maybe not.
We might not have gotten the Crino Core, which you probably wouldn't have mind.
Damn.
I
tell you, maybe we don't get Maybe I'm Amazed though.
That's a good point. Maybe we don't get Maybe I'm Amazed. Maybe he doesn't feel the need to muse Linda that much. I mean, at that point in time, right. We might get Every Night because we know that they were working on it already.
Right. Yeah.
Right. However, he's working on Backseat of My Car too already, and during the
lots of those early fragments. Another Day was even demoed.
Exactly. Yeah. Or I mean, it was worked on. It wasn't necessarily complete or anything like that.
It was worked on. It was
right. So I mean, I could definitely see them. I can see Teddy Boy. I could definitely see Junk. Coming out maybe onto the next album, or maybe they just go back to what he originally wanted to do and just start from scratch. Maybe Paul and John start writing like they used to when they first started their partnership.
Yeah. Eyeball to eyeball.
Face. Yeah, exactly. Which would have been really interesting. Maybe we wouldn't get any of these songs.
Maybe not.
Well, however, hopefully we would have got some of those wonderful George songs that he tried to.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't get All Things Must Pass Out to save his life.
No shot.
Which is a damn shame. Damn shame.
I although it may not be in our top 10 all-time albums, I will say the back cover is one of the best covers.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah. So the cover, we're talking about this. I believe this was supposed to be the cover.
It was.
And then this would have been, somehow it got reversed.
Yeah, I do. In fact, what I used to do with my copies, I used to just take the back. I used to just make it the cover anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So he talks about the making of the cover, in this as well. So if you didn't get this, unfortunately, you might have to probably pay $200-300 to get it on eBay now.
That's ridiculous.
I mean that's you're looking at 8 arms to hold you money right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
But yeah, he talks about this. He talks about giving, a bunch of pictures to, a professional to look to see what if any of those pictures would have made a good album cover. And he said there's only one logical, and it was this one right here.
Yeah,
and what happened? It ended up being the
back cover. You wonder if it actually was the cover. Does that make any impact in its reception long term. I don't know. Maybe.
Right. Yeah, maybe. And I think Heather was like down by his waist,
Yeah.
in the full picture of this, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but it's an album
you
I
know,
enjoy a lot. I don't play it as much as the other ones, obviously, but I find myself going back to it more than I do, say, I don't know, Press to Play.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I do. You know,
Hmm.
but that's just me.
Right. Yeah, but definitely, you know, when you see how he describes this album as home, family, and love, I think, to me personally, you definitely get that from this album.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
Those themes are in every
Yeah.
song, every song on this album.
Throughout, and throughout his career too, a lot. You know.
His career, but this is the beginning of that new life
Right.
with his family, and that's a statement being made in all 13 of these songs, even Queen of
Mhm.
Corée.
Exactly, exactly. Well, so that was fun. But you know,
Yeah,
there's another thing I wanted to talk to you too about. You know, because obviously the European tour is canceled. We
yep.
know we talked about earlier, and you know, Paul's probably been quarantined for a good 2 months now.
Did
You
you listen
know,
to the Howard Stern interview he did?
I did, I
Right.
did, right, and he really didn't say much if he was working on anything. I think he was still said he was still may have been working on the "It's a Wonderful Life"
Oh yeah.
production.
Right.
However, you give Paul 3-4 months isolated, he should have 3-4 albums ready to go.
Go. Let's go. Digital download. Let's go. Get him out.
Right, right. You know, and our buddy Ken Michaels, he was posting on Facebook earlier about how cool it would be if he just surprised us with like a McCartney 3 album. You
Well,
know,
just make it at
just
home. Just make it at
make it
home.
at home. Exactly,
That would be
exactly.
so cool. That would be so awesome. And listen, I mean, the man's been sitting home. You
Right.
know, he's not sitting there baking bread. You know, he's making music.
Yeah, he's not baking bread.
Come on.
Right. Exactly. So you gotta think that he's, you know, he's got, you know, the piano lying around. He's got, you know, some
That,
guitars laying
that,
around.
or he uses this opportunity. I was saying this to a friend of mine. That, or he uses the opportunity to say, let me go dig it in my vaults and release a few things.
That would be, yeah. I mean, he's got so many. I would imagine he's probably got hundreds of unfinished songs that
Yeah. Then
probably,
again,
you know, pulling out of his back pocket to work on.
right. But then again, who knows? Again, long term, if Flaming Pie is still in the pipeline, I mean, it's already May. That'll be here in 2 months. So he may.
Right, but you got to think though. Egypt Station came out, and then 2 months later, we got the Wildlife and the Red Rose Speedway box set.
That's true.
You
Yeah,
know,
he just say
so
came out in what was that, August or September of 2018,
September, and then December we got the 2 box sets. You know,
and the White Album.
and I'm seeing that this Flaming Pie is going to be 7 discs.
Yeah, crazy.
You know,
What could be
so
on those 7 discs?
well, you got to think. Okay, you're going to get the album. You get the remastered album. You'll get
7 discs. I mean,
yeah, you get bonus a disc of all bonus, you know, B-sides and bonus stuff. You probably get a DVD, maybe a Blu-ray. You know,
maybe.
wasn't there a
I'll get,
Flaming
we'll get
Pie?
to watch
What's the
we'll get to watch
the World
World Tonight documentary, and then
World Tonight documentary? Yeah, and the Town Hall.
with John Fugelsang sitting there
Yep.
asking questions.
Exactly. You know, I'm thinking you get maybe 2 to 3 discs of Ubu Jubu stuff.
Yeah, because that was all during that period, kind of a little bit.
Right.
Well, a little bit. Well, Ubu Juba was 94, 95.
Right. And the other thing I'm thinking too, I mean, this is a long shot, but you know, we did get the vinyl version of Wide Prairie. You know, that would be really cool if you threw in the CD version of Wide Prairie in this set.
Oh, in this set?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know,
He might. Maybe he throws it in there too. I just,
Right.
again, he's surprised us with some of these bonus stuff that
Right.
comes out. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't think people were expecting Thrillington at first when the Ram set was
No,
announced.
no, 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 for sure. So yeah, listen, he's got stuff coming down the pipeline, even though we're in quarantine. But
Right.
we'll be there to
Yeah.
get it. It might take us a little longer to get it, but we're getting it.
Yeah, but getting back to the discussion, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he has like 30 or 40 songs, you know,
That would be awesome.
wouldn't it? Yeah.
And
I say,
if he called it McCartney 3, that'd be even awesomer.
yeah, exactly. I say just if he knows an album is going to be his last album, do it old school. Do it like McCartney record. Wouldn't that be really cool to finish your career the same way you started it?
Bookending it that way, right?
Exactly.
That would be pretty cool, man.
Yeah, maybe he saves that McCartney 3 for his last record.
I know it was going around there online talk that people thought.
Yes, when Egypt Station came out, there was like, I remember that little picture and somebody had McCartney 3.
I remember telling my friends, I'm like, it's going to be called McCartney 3.
I think that was on the Hoffman forum. Somebody.
Yeah, that's where I saw that. That's where I saw that.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Oh, well, it could happen.
It still could happen, yeah. I'm sure he's got all of his. I'm sure he's not far from, was it Hog Hill or whatever his studio is called?
I think that's where he is.
Yeah.
That indication of the live at home show he did, that looked like the home studio that he's got there.
Right.
So. Yeah.
So we could easily, have someone behind the glass, working the board.
Social distancing, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, man, just thinking about it. So when I was looking at what Ken wrote earlier today, I had just really started thinking. I mean, how cool would it be if he just surprised us with just like a record that took him a month to make.
I wouldn't be surprised because I'm not surprised by anything he does.
Right.
It's just this. He's going to make music until the day he drops.
Correct. That's what I think too. And he's not going to give two shits what anybody thinks about his voice.
Nope.
So, and I'm fine with that. It is what it is. He'll do some studio trickery to disguise the voice a little bit.
Auto-tune.
Yeah. Let's hope he's done with that experiment.
Yeah.
Anyways, but cool. It's a great discussion.
Great discussion.
So,
loved it.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
great.
Thanks, man.
So, anything you want to add before we call it?
Thanks for all of our people that comment on our YouTube channel and comments and fans of the show. The last few weeks have been really good for us with Two Legs. We've done some really great episodes. We've had some great shows with Chip Madinger and Mark Easter before that and stuff. So it's really helped us. So thank you for supporting us. Thanks for the likes. Just thanks for supporting Two Legs.
Yeah, absolutely. We love all the comments, so please keep them coming, whether it's by email at twolegspodcast@gmail.com or on our YouTube channel, Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. If you're checking that out, please subscribe to that. And as always, there's our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram at Two Legs Podcast. And we really appreciate all you guys' info, all the encouragement. Really makes this show, even more fun doing when we have everybody's encouragement out there. So for that, Andy, again, great having you. And we've got Ken Michaels coming up, and like I said, we've got Adrian Allen coming up talking about Volume 2 of his series Paul McCartney After the Beatles. So another fine month ahead, and June and July are already packed.
Yeah, hopefully we're not quarantined still. Who knows?
Exactly. Yeah, hopefully we'll get out. But I'm looking forward to the next few months with you, my friend. And
likewise.
Yeah, everybody take care. So Andy, I'm Tom, and as always, everybody out there have a great day and a beautiful night.
listening to Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, hosted by Tom Hunyadi and Andy Nichols, with musical contributions by Dylan